Thank you very much, Imam Shaka, and welcome back. Today we are talking about the political uncertainty in Egypt and what it means for the region and the continent. Now, joining us here in our Washington studios are two distinguished guests. One of them is Mohammed El-Shinawi, Middle East Senior Correspondent for the Voice of America, and Dr. Tawfik Hamid, a Senior Fellow and Chair for the Study of Islamic Radicalism at the Potomac Institute for Policy Studies based here in Washington, D.C. His recent book, entitled The Roots of Jihad, is an in-depth analysis of the Islamic texts of Salafi, which are responsible for the spread of jihad in the Arab world. Well, I have to say, gentlemen, once again, that I'm profoundly honored and exceedingly humbled to have the opportunity to host the two of you on Straight Talk Africa.
Pleasure to be with you.
You're most welcome. Let me begin by saying, by coming to you, Mohammed, would you think it is fair for us to be, for example, saying that we're looking at, politically at least, we're looking at Egypt in terms of uncertainties?
Yeah, of course, because nobody knows if tomorrow the High Electoral Committee would announce who is the winner. They might play politics and postpone it because the tension in the streets is mounting, and they fear of violence, and you can see that tanks are around and military police all over the place, with an added power is to have the authority to detain and arrest people. And that's a scary development by SCAF to introduce such a violation of the civil rights of the Egyptian people.
Tawfik, what happened really, especially to the Egyptian army?
Yeah.
We used to be told about how the Egyptian army belonged to the people.
Yeah.
It was an institution that was widely respected by Egyptians, certainly not the Egyptian police or other militia. What happened?
It's actually the situation now is, if the military did not do these things like controlling more power and have this right to intervene in politics, there is a possibility that Egypt can go into the path of becoming a Taliban. That is the real problem. There are other dimensions of the issue of maybe selfishness for power and other factors. However, for the sake of Egypt itself, the situation is very crucial. You deal here with, before saying it's war between the military and the Brotherhood, and it is a war between a civil state, as Egypt was always and be like in most of its life, allowing Muslims, Christians, Jews, people from different nationalities to live in harmony together, to becoming into the direction of the Islamist country like Iran that can have a relationship or loyalty, not to the people of Egypt, but to the other groups of the Muslim Brotherhoods in different parts of the world. So the military is in a very difficult situation, in my view. I'm not denying that there could be some self-interest here, but I am saying, in addition to this, there is a benefit that many Egyptians feels now there is a need for the military to have this political role. In fact, one of the most famous media people in the media in Egypt, called Khalid Youssef, is a director of well-known figure, liberal figure. He was completely against the military today, just a few hours ago. He said, unfortunately, the Muslim Brotherhood has led me to a situation where I support the decision of the military so that the power does not fall in the hands of one group. This could be destructive to the country. So I see what's happening for the military is not really something so bizarre, but it can be understandable also.
Mohammed, do you agree with him?
No, I disagree, because this is the same fear tactics that Mubarak played for 30 years. He was convincing the West and everybody else that the only replacement for his repressive regime is an Islamic state led by the Muslim Brotherhood. Now, have we ever tried Muslim Brotherhood in power? No. Give them a chance. And when they got a chance, they ruined half of it between when they were elected in January and when they were elected or their candidate was elected in the presidential elections.
Mm-hmm.
They won 47% in the first one, 24% in the second one because of the bad practices.
Yeah.
So nobody can convince me that they are not learning. They are learning now, and they wouldn't waste the opportunity to be an integral part of the political scene because they waited for 80 years to have this, and they won't waste it by doing what my friend here is trying to imply, transforming Egypt into Taliban. The nature of the Egyptian society is not as of the Afghanistan tribal and very conservative Islamists with their own definition of Islam. Even Muslim Brotherhood leader or candidate said in his self-inauguration speech that Egypt will be a civil, modern, democratic state. That's a commitment.
In fact, we do have some evidence to suggest that the Muslim Brotherhood candidate Mohammed Morsi has tried to reach out to the Coptic, for example.
Yeah.
He has tried to reach out to different minority groups and the secular and what have you. Is there any particular reason why these groups seem to be reluctant to embrace him and the Muslim Brotherhood?
To embrace who?
The Christian
Morsi.
groups are not supportive of Morsi if he is truly...
Because, again, they are the unknown factor in the political scene. They were never tried. So the media machine belonging to the old regime is pumping the same kind of fear tactics into the population. And some statements from a fringe of Muslim Brotherhood talked badly about, like, we'll never allow a Christian to be a president or a woman to be a vice president. That was the old argument between the new Muslim Brotherhood and the old school. And that made a split between Mohammed Habib and the rest. Mohammed Habib split because of the argument over the platform, the original platform of the Muslim Brotherhood. But if we are accepting the rule that the ballot box is leading the most powerful in terms of vote to rule, we cannot repeat the same mistake that the United States did with Hamas. We allowed them to have a democratic selections, and when Hamas ascended to power, then
you shift to the goalpost.
Exactly. So allow the democratic process to go its path, and we will find out. I mean, it's 4 years if they stay that long, and then you can dislodge them in the ballot box. However, if you allow the military to come back, they are entrenched in their tanks. And we had this experience for 60 years in Egypt. Nobody could change the regime because it's backed by the military. You can change whatever group, a political group ruling, going to the polling station, but not the army.
Tawfik, where does the Egyptian military get the mandate from, really? To claim, for example, that whatever steps it is taking are justified in the sense that they represent the interests
of the Egyptian people.
The Egyptian people.
Yeah.
Where do they get the mandate from? Because frankly, the last time I checked, they came to power back in 1952 through a military coup.
Yeah.
And they have since then never conducted what one would consider to be a credible election.
I agree with you. However, the question is how they bring they have the view that they are supported by the Egyptian people. First of all, the military as a system in Egypt, many Egyptians contribute to it in different ways. It's not based on a sectarian group or tribe or tribal mentality. It's every Egyptian can be in the military. So, and in general, polls showing that despite all their mistakes, they have more than 70% support from the population. And that is one of the issues here, that the military has mistakes, and we cannot deny this. But the real worry is, I would like to comment here on Mohammed's comment, that if the Brotherhood came to power, okay, and they performed bad, who will take them out of power? When they try now to cooperate with the revolutionists again and to correct their mistakes, this is because they don't have power in their hands. But try it, the Brotherhood in power and Salafi are in power, and some people from ordinary population criticizing them or trying to remove them from power, then you will see the Iranian experiment happening again.
But aren't they legitimate Egyptians? Aren't they citizens of the Republic of Egypt? Aren't they entitled to the same vote, just like any other Egyptian?
The results that show that despite all of this, Shafiq is getting around 50%. This can tell a lot, that they still have a lot of support in the society. So they may not have this legitimacy as you claim. That is correct. It's not a legitimacy of democracy, the desire of people, but in general, people always feel safe with the military. Like, for example, the current liberals in Egypt, when they feel that they are threatened by an Islamist regime, and when I say Islamist regime, I mean it literally, because in the first few months when they came to power, one of the earliest things they asked for is to allow female genital mutilation, for example. Number two, you see some of their leading people like Safwat Higazi and others declaring a celebration, and all his mission was to declare war against Israel and to support Hamas organization. So you are really not dealing with an organization that can take the country to a peaceful, to become peaceful country, living with its neighbors for prosperity.
That is not to mention, of course, that Mr. Morsi is on record saying, for example, that he would abide by the Camp David agreement.
And you will see their other statements. That's the problem with the Brotherhood. They said they will not put a president, and they put a president.
Well,
I can't trust them on their words.
Politics indeed.